Emmy Rossum is finally pulling back the curtain on one of the most private chapters of her life, and what she's revealing has surprised even longtime fans. For years, very little was known about her first marriage to music executive Justin Siegel. Most people didn't even realize she had been married before, finding lasting happiness with filmmaker Sam Esmail. But now, Rossum is sharing the real story behind that relationship, and according to her, it all began with a life-changing ultimatum that left her making one of the biggest decisions of her life in just a matter of hours. Looking back today, she says she can clearly see how fear influenced her choices, and she's speaking about it with remarkable honesty. At the time, Emmy Rossum was one of Hollywood's brightest young stars. She had already impressed audiences with her performance in The Phantom of the Opera and was steadily building an acting career that many believed would only continue to grow. She was also pursuing music and had signed with Interscope Records, where she eventually met Justin Siegel. Their relationship moved quickly, but nothing seemed unusual from the outside because Rossum kept her personal life incredibly private. Even those close to her had little idea of just how serious things had become. According to Rossum, the relationship had only lasted a couple of months when a major opportunity arrived. She landed a role in the live-action film Dragon Ball Evolution, which required her to spend 6 months filming in Durango, Mexico. For a young actress, this was another significant step in her career. She was excited about the opportunity, preparing for months away from home, and expecting that she and her boyfriend would simply find a way to stay connected despite the distance. Instead, she says she was confronted with a decision she never saw coming. Rossum recalled that the very day she was leaving for Mexico, Justin Siegel gave her an ultimatum. According to her, he told her that their relationship probably wouldn't survive 6 months apart. Then came the choice that completely changed everything. She says he essentially told her they could either break up or get married. There wasn't much room for discussion, and there certainly wasn't time for careful reflection. Suddenly, what should have been an exciting day for her career became one of the most emotionally overwhelming days of her personal life. Looking back now, Rossum admits she wasn't emotionally prepared to make such a massive decision. She explained that she had already experienced painful heartbreaks before meeting Siegel and was terrified of going through another one. She says abandonment had become one of her deepest fears, and instead of listening to her instincts, she reacted emotionally. Rather than risk losing another relationship, she convinced herself that getting married made sense. It wasn't because she was certain she had found the love of her life, it was because she didn't want to experience another painful goodbye. Rossum now openly acknowledges that her younger self wasn't thinking clearly. She remembers believing that if the marriage didn't work out, divorce wouldn't be a huge deal. At 21 years old, she viewed it as something that could simply be undone if necessary. Years later, she laughs at how unrealistic that thinking was, but she also understands why she felt that way. Fear has a way of making people ignore warning signs, and that's exactly what she believes happened to her. What happened next sounds almost unbelievable for a Hollywood wedding. There was no glamorous venue, no expensive decorations, no celebrity guest list, and no months of planning. Rossum says she printed marriage paperwork from the internet and located an officiant online. The ceremony took place at her house. She searched through her closet, found a white turtleneck sweater, decided it looked close enough to bridal attire, and wore it while exchanging vows. Even as she tells the story today, she seems amazed at how quickly everything unfolded. Perhaps the most striking part of Rossum's story is what she says she felt during the entire process. Deep down, she already knew something wasn't right. She remembers ignoring every instinct telling her to slow down. She has described it as tuning out the smoke alarm in her own mind. That inner voice was warning her that she was making a mistake, but she kept moving forward anyway. Today, she believes ignoring those instincts became one of her biggest lessons of her life. Another surprising detail is that Rossum intended to keep the marriage completely secret. Most newlyweds are excited to celebrate their relationship publicly, but she says she didn't even want people to know. Looking back, she believes that secrecy reflected how uncertain she already felt. If she had truly believed she was making the right decision, she probably would have wanted to share the happy news. Instead, almost nobody knew they had married.
Soon after the wedding, Rossum left for Mexico to begin filming. Ironically, the marriage had happened because of concerns about being apart for 6 months. Yet, according to Rossum, Justin never came to visit her during the entire production. As the months passed, she began realizing that the relationship wasn't what she had hoped it would become. Distance wasn't the real problem, compatibility was. By the time filming ended and she returned home, Rossum says it had become painfully obvious that they simply weren't a good match. She's been very direct about that realization, explaining that they were incompatible in almost every important way. Sometimes people convince themselves that commitment will fix existing problems, but Rossum learned firsthand that marriage doesn't automatically solve deeper issues. If anything, it can make them impossible to ignore. One of the most memorable moments in her recent interview involved telling her mother the truth. Because the marriage had been kept secret, her own mother had no idea it had happened. Rossum remembers walking in and saying that she was breaking up with Justin and needed a lawyer. Her mother looked confused because, as far as she knew, they had simply been dating. Rossum then admitted that they had actually gotten married. The shock on her mother's face is something Rossum still laughs about today. Her mother quickly shifted from surprise to support. Instead of dwelling on the secret, she focused on helping her daughter navigate the legal process and move forward. Rossum has often credited her family for being there during difficult moments in her life, and this situation was no different. Sometimes the people closest to us become our strongest support system, especially when we're facing the consequences of decisions we'd rather forget. The marriage lasted only a short time before Justin Siegel filed for divorce. Their divorce was finalized the following year, bringing an end to a relationship that had remained largely hidden from public view. When news of the divorce became public, many people were shocked simply because they hadn't known the couple had ever married. In Hollywood, where celebrity relationships often dominate headlines, Rossum had somehow managed to keep one of the biggest events of her personal life almost completely private. Today, Rossum doesn't tell this story to criticize her former husband alone. Instead, she repeatedly takes responsibility for her own choices. She openly admits that she ignored warning signs and allowed fear to make decisions for her. That honesty is one reason her interview has resonated with so many people. Rather than pretending she was a victim without any control, she acknowledges that she had a role in the situation, while also recognizing how emotionally vulnerable she was at the time. Her comments have sparked widespread discussion among fans. Many people have debated whether giving someone an ultimatum like "marry me or we're done" is ever healthy. Some believe that real commitment should grow naturally rather than being forced under pressure. Others point out that every relationship is different, and only the people involved truly know what happened. Still, many viewers agreed on one thing: making a lifelong decision under emotional pressure rarely leads to the best outcome. Rossum's story has also become a conversation about youth. At 21 years old, many people are still discovering who they are and what they truly want from life. Major career opportunities, new relationships, emotional baggage from previous heartbreaks, and public attention can all combine to create enormous pressure. Rossum now believes she simply wasn't equipped with the life experience needed to recognize what was happening. One lesson she emphasizes is the importance of trusting your instincts. She says her inner voice was warning her through the entire process, but she chose not to listen. That message has resonated with countless viewers because many people can remember moments when they ignored their own intuition. Sometimes those decisions work out, but other times they become valuable life lessons that shape the future. Fortunately, Rossum's story doesn't end with heartbreak. Years later, she met writer and director Sam Esmail. Their relationship developed much more naturally, beginning with a professional connection before evolving into romance. Unlike her first marriage, this relationship wasn't rushed. It grew over time through trust, friendship, and shared creative interests. Rossum has often described the difference as night and day. The couple eventually married in 2017 in a beautiful ceremony attended by family and friends. By that point, Rossum had gained years of life experience and a much clearer understanding of herself. She wasn't making decisions out of fear anymore. Instead, she was building a relationship based on mutual respect, communication, and genuine compatibility.
That contrast makes her recent reflections on her first marriage even more meaningful. Since then, Rossum and Esmail have welcomed children and built a quiet family life away from constant public attention. Although both remain active in the entertainment industry, they have chosen to keep many aspects of their personal lives private. Rossum continues acting, producing, and taking on new creative projects while balancing the responsibilities of motherhood. Fans say that's one of the reasons her recent interview feels so refreshing. She isn't trying to create controversy or rewrite history. Instead, she's sharing an honest account of a difficult period in her life in hopes that others might learn from it. Rather than presenting herself as perfect, she acknowledges her mistakes and explains how those experiences ultimately helped her become a stronger and wiser person. Many viewers have praised Rossum for discussing such a personal topic without bitterness. She speaks calmly, reflects thoughtfully, and avoids turning the story into an attack on anyone else. Instead, the focus remains on growth, emotional maturity, and understanding why people sometimes make choices they later regret. That level of self-awareness has earned admiration from fans who appreciate celebrities willing to show vulnerability. This story also reminds us that fame doesn't protect anyone from making emotional decisions. Celebrities may live glamorous lives on the surface, but they experience fear, heartbreak, insecurity, and self-doubt just like everyone else. Rossum's experience proves that success in one area of life doesn't automatically translate into confidence in another. Even while building an impressive career, she was still learning difficult lessons about relationships. Another reason this revelation has attracted so much attention is because it changes how many people view Rossum's journey. For years, the public only saw the successful actress who seemed to move effortlessly through Hollywood. Now she's revealing that behind the scenes, she was navigating emotional struggles that very few people knew about. That honesty adds another layer to her story and helps explain how much she has grown over the years. As more people hear Rossum's story, conversations continue about recognizing unhealthy relationship patterns, setting boundaries, and making major life decisions with patience instead of panic. While every relationship is unique, her experience serves as a reminder that fear should never be the reason someone walks down the aisle. Love, trust, and shared values create lasting partnerships, while pressure and anxiety often create lasting regrets. Looking back today, Emmy Rossum says she can finally view that chapter of her life with clarity instead of embarrassment. It was painful, confusing, and deeply personal, but it also became one of the experiences that shaped the person she is now. Sometimes the biggest mistakes become the greatest teachers, and Rossum believes that's exactly what happened in her case. Her willingness to revisit one of the most private moments of her life has given fans a rare glimpse into the realities behind celebrity headlines. What once seemed like a mysterious secret marriage is now understood as the story of a young woman making an impulsive decision while trying to avoid heartbreak. Years later, she has found happiness, stability, and perspective, proving that difficult chapters don't have to define the rest of someone's life. As this story continues making headlines, one thing is clear: Emmy Rossum's honesty has resonated with audiences around the world. Her reflections aren't just about a failed marriage, they're about learning to trust yourself, recognizing emotional pressure, and understanding that growth often comes from the moments we'd rather forget. Those lessons extend far beyond Hollywood and speak to anyone who has ever questioned a major decision they made while afraid of losing someone they loved. And that's the latest on Emmy Rossum's surprising revelation about her first marriage and the ultimatum that changed everything. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of Hollywood's most unexpected relationship stories, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest celebrity news, exclusive updates, and behind-the-scenes stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.